Been a 22-4 regular season for the Spring Grove Lions as they get ready for the sectional opener against Kingsland this week. As we chat with the Lions coach Wade Grinde. And coach, what's made it a successful regular season for you?
Well, I think these kids have really matured. I don't know if we've had a team that's improved as much as these guys have over the course of the year. We're playing a bunch of sophomores and juniors and only one senior. And, we've been really happy with their effort and practice and as well as how they've evolved throughout the year from beginning to end. We've taken some losses that we've came out and responded after a loss and with even greater focus. And we rattled off some wins and managed to put together a nice season. And we're pretty excited to see how they respond at tournament time.
And looking at least the scoring column, there's different guys at the top of the column. A lot of those nights, do you feel that you've established those multiple offensive threats?
Well, that's the secret to our success. If we can get more balanced scoring, the role players, the stars got to be stars, and the rest of the players have to contribute when the opportunity presents itself. And for the most part, Eli Solomon, Tyson Grinde have done that as far as scoring. But what we've been really happy with is the play of Carson Girard here lately. He's been extremely strong around the basket, rebounding, getting putbacks, and getting extra possessions for us with offensive rebounds and scoring that way, as well as Jackson Strindmoen has knocked down some shots for us. And then we have a couple kids that come off the bench for us that are spark plugs that are good shooters in Jacob Olrud and Caleb Griffin. So right now we like the fact that we have more pistons firing, but on any given night, that's the secret to our success is if we can put points on the board.
You mentioned the overall growth of your team. Is there any particular area where you've grown the most in, or is it just general they've gotten better at basketball over the last couple of months?
Honestly, it was just about competing. I felt at the beginning of the year, we've always had a pretty high standard about nobody's going to outwork us. And beginning of the year, we weren't really living up to that. And I think, we learned to compete. I think that's a talent and a skill that can be developed. And, to their credit, to the kids' credit, they've learned to compete better. And then obviously, you look at what we do defensively. I think we're the number one scoring, defense points allowed in the state in all four classes. We only give up 36 points a game. So, that's a sign of connectivity, that they work together. You can't have a good, solid defense if you're not all on the same page. And I think that's been the strength.
And does that competitive fire really show in that defensive statistic in your mind?
Yeah. And these guys are unique. They're not a rah-rah bunch. They don't like to jump around and hoot and holler. They're kind of all business. And every team takes on its own shape, and it has its own personality. And I think I kind of appreciate the business approach that they take. There's not a lot of fluff involved, and you can't really play basketball, with your hair on fire all the time. You'll kick it off the back wall. So these guys have learned to play with a controlled focus and competitiveness that sustain them throughout the year.
You mentioned responding to losses. You had an 11-game winning streak going into last Friday night. You fell by 1 point in what looked like a pretty good ball game over at Fillmore Central last Friday night. Can you turn that into a positive, knowing the fact that, hey, you know what? If you don't bring it one night, your season can be done, but you guys have been able to respond to losses pretty well.
Were you in my practice yesterday? You're quoting me verbatim.
Secret microphones, Coach.
Yes, that's exactly what we talked about. And in the losses that we've had this year, the losses are learning experiences. And, we've come out, the following game after a loss and just really shut the water off on the other team and remembered, what our identity is. And I think sometimes when you have a loss, you can take the wind out of your sails and you can lose confidence. But with these guys, it seems that they really realized that we got to get back to doing what we're doing, and that's defending and rebounding and playing together on offense and being opportunistic and using our defense to create offense. And, that's what I like the most about this team is the maturity that they've shown responding after a loss. So, we came out the other night against the Fillmore Central team that was on fire, played great. They deserved to beat us. And I think the guys in the locker room afterwards realized what they had done. It was all about the first half. We didn't come ready to play. And the old adage, you can't win the game in the first half, but you can lose it. And they understand we got to play two halves of basketball, because offensively we're not as good as we hope to be or should be.
And this week, you got Kingsland coming to town for your first round sectional game on a Thursday night. I know you got a victory against them on the regular season. What do you expect out of Kingsland Friday or a Thursday night?
First of all, we're playing a whole different team this time than we played them before. They had their number one best player was out. They've kind of figured out their identity now. Defensively, I was really impressed with how they're getting after it at man-to-man defense and closing down driving gaps and playing really hard, playing a lot of people. And they've always had a certain quality about Kingsland's always had a certain quality where they just let it fly. And that can be dangerous on a given night, especially when you're playing, with house money. They're coming in as a lower seed. So, they're coming in free and loose, and we have to play, to the level of our season's record.
And what's going to be the key to keep playing basketball as long as you possibly can this year?
Well, obviously remembering who we are, our identity. If we start to get, lackadaisical at all defensively and expose ourselves and get down, it's difficult for us to come back. So defense and rebounding have to be the key. And then, we talked about that offense when we get on the other end. Stars got to be stars, but then role players have to be opportunistic. And you've seen it at every level at tournament time. Somebody that's unexpected makes plays, makes shots. And goes out and scores twice their season average, and that's been the difference to propel the teams into the playoffs down the road to keep us surviving and advancing, and that's what we need on Thursday.
All right, Coach, congrats on a great regular season, but memories are made in March, and hopefully there's a lot of memories for the Lion basketball program this month. We wish you best of luck here in the postseason starting Thursday night against Kingsland.
Thank you, sir.
Wade Grinde, head coach of the Spring Grove Lions. They open up Thursday night against Kingsland at home.